In the meantime, Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov has cleared the air regarding joint naval drills between Russia, China and South Africa scheduled for February. Responding to criticism surrounding the drills at a news conference in South Africa, he said Russia had provided all necessary information regarding plans for the military exercises. He met with his South African counterpart, Naledi Pandor, in what the South African government officials have said is an honorary visit, but deemed insensitive by some opposition parties and a small Ukrainian community. President Cyril Ramaphosa's government regards South Africa as neutral in the war and has expressed a desire to mediate. Let's turn our attention to the United States, where the community of Monterey Park is still reeling from the mass shooting at a ballroom dancing studio that left 10 people dead and 10 more injured. California police has identified a suspect who was later found dead in a white van from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We have more in this report.
Another mass shooting has rocked the United States, this time in the close-knit community of Monterey Park, where 10 persons were killed and another 10 injured. Los Angeles Sheriff Robert Luna said police in tactical gear and armor had surrounded a white van and the suspect inside died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
The sheriff's homicide investigators, working alongside all of our law enforcement partners, were able to confirm the identity of the male inside the white cargo van as the suspect in the mass shooting that we had in Monterey Park. As Torrance officers pulled behind the vehicle, the white van entered a shopping center parking lot. When officers exited their patrol vehicle to contact the occupant, they heard one gunshot coming from within the van. Officers retreated and requested several tactical teams to respond. 2 armored vehicles responded and were able to restrict the van's movement. At 12:52 p.m., our sheriff's SWAT team approached and cleared the van and determined the suspect sustained a self-inflicted gunshot wound and was pronounced dead at the scene.
The sheriff said a magazine-fed semi-automatic assault pistol with extended large-capacity magazine was recovered from the Alhambra location.
Investigators conducted a search of the vehicle and determined the male inside the van was the mass shooting suspect. During the search, several pieces of evidence were found inside the van linking the suspect to both locations. A handgun was discovered inside the van. The suspect has been identified as Hu Can Tran. He is a 72-year-old male Asian.
The attack brought a sudden end to what had been the city's first in-person celebration of the Lunar New Year in 3 years. The festivities were due to continue for 3 days, but on Sunday, vendors were instead dismantling stores while workers took apart a fairground. The Southern California city of 60,000 is consistently ranked as one of the best and most peaceful places to live in the United States, but the mass shooting has shaken residents' faith in the safety of their community.
I think about the food, the people, the fact that I could go out at literally 12 a.m. and just feel safe, but now that's just kind of been shattered. Now I don't think I'll ever be able to walk outside, and if I just hear noise, just brush it off. I'll always have to look behind my shoulder because there can be somebody that could just, take another's life. That's not something I thought could ever happen in Monterey Park.
Well, where would all the elderly folks go to hang out and dance if because times have been tough, especially after COVID and all the other ups and downs. And she just said that it's very important, to always remember that.
The incident marks the 5th mass shooting in the U.S. this month and the deadliest since 21 people were killed in a school in Texas, with the U.S. suffering 647 shootings with 4 or more victims in 2022.
And now to the Middle East, where Pakistan has suffered a nationwide power outage due to a technical fault that left large swathes of the country, including the capital, Islamabad, without electricity. In a statement on Twitter, the Energy Ministry said the system frequency of the national grid went down at 7:34 on Monday morning. The tweet adds that system maintenance work was progressing rapidly. The minister said restoration work could take up to 12 hours, adding that a limited number of power grids are back on. And dozens of Palestinians are protesting threats made by top Israeli politicians to imminently carry out the forced displacement of the Palestinian village of Khan al-Ahmar on the eastern outskirts of Jerusalem. The protest took place after far-right politician and Minister of National Security, Itamar Ben-Gvir, said he would push ahead with the village's forced removal. The Minister of National Security on Saturday said the Israeli government will not hold Jews to one legal standard and Arabs to another after an illegal Jewish settlement outpost was cleared by Israeli forces. In September 2018, the Israeli Supreme Court greenlit the village's removal, leaving it open to being demolished at any time, but demolition plans have been put on hold several times since then. And here in Africa, at least 5 civilians have been killed by a bomb set off by members of Al-Shabaab armed group when they stormed a government building in Mogadishu. According to the Ministry of Information, attackers from the group charged into the block that houses the office of the Mogadishu's mayor and engaged in a firefight with security forces. Al-Shabaab has stepped up attacks in a show of resilience since the Somali government launched an offensive against the Al-Qaeda-linked group in August. The armed group, which has been fighting the government since 2006, frequently carries out bombings and gun attacks across the country. And still in Africa, gunmen in Eswatini have killed a prominent opposition politician and human rights lawyer at his home hours after the country's absolute monarch challenged activists opposed to his rule. According to the opposition spokesman, Tulani Maseko was shot dead on Saturday night by attackers. Mr. Maseko was a leading human rights lawyer who had a pending court battle with King Mswatini III over the monarch's decision to rename the country Eswatini by decree. And to Burkina Faso, where the military government has ordered hundreds of French troops to leave the country within 1 month. This move comes 5 months after France completed its withdrawal from Mali after 9 years of fighting Islamic rebels alongside regional troops. After the second coup there last year, anti-French protesters called for an alliance with Russia. Mali has already hired Russian mercenaries from the Wagner Group who have been accused of widespread human rights abuses. 60 years after Burkina Faso's independence, France has, however, maintained strong economic and humanitarian aid ties with its former colony.